All right, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Some may know me, some may not. I am Lady G. I am a serial entrepreneur. I am uh, a big believer in multiple streams of income because I do believe if you only have one stream of income, you're close to having none. I left Wall Street about 17 years ago and haven't looked back. And over time, have started about 9 streams of income. I don't believe in just focusing on one thing, or at least I'm not passionate on one thing. I'm passionate on many. One of my streams is I am a licensed financial professional. I'm based in the New York City area. I service people in all states. I'm also on a member of the Black Minority Chamber of Commerce here in New York and Staten Island. We have different branches. So I am very happy to be talking to you guys today. Um, I think that financial planning is an important aspect for nonprofits to understand. So, what we're going to do today is I want to touch on what the common financial challenges nonprofits may face. And why financial stability is crucial for nonprofits, and what tools you can use to help you along the way. Um, if at any time you have questions, I'm going to try to look at the chat. Please drop it in the chat so that we can stay engaged. Okay. All right. So there is something that really a lot of people don't think much about because they they hear it and they think one thing. Life insurance is a tool that is utilized by many communities for wealth creation. It's just a known fact. Many big companies own life insurance, whether it be General Electric, Walt Disney, AT&T, the list goes on and on. My question to you is, why not you? Okay. What I want to hone on is what can nonprofits use, and how can it serve as a tax-free strategy to build financial security and fund, whether it be charitable initiatives, whether it provide long-term benefits to your organizations. Okay. I want us to focus on why the need for sustainable financial solutions are needed in nonprofit organizations. Just because you're not a for profit, you still want to be able to have funds that can keep the nonprofit going so that you can not be worrying about where the funds are going to come from. So, what we're going to talk about again is how tax free strategies can help maximize the funding and support the long term goals. I want you to think what your long term goals are. I understand everybody's long term goals, short term goals may be different. Um, why this matters. Financial security. I'm speaking to nonprofits, but I want you to think about the business mindset and I want you to think about the individual mindset, personal mindset. So, everything that I say today can impact you in your personal life and the business side. I want you to think about what tax free strategies and that they can help maximize funding, meaning wherever you have funds growing, is it growing fixed? Is it growing compound interest? Is it growing variable? We're going to touch on a little bit about what those mean. It's a big part of how your money grows. We want to talk about what happens when a key leader is lost and how that life insurance provides that safety net. So today's goal is understanding how key person insurance helps nonprofits. When we talk about key person insurance, it is a policy that is owned by the nonprofit on a key individual. The nonprofit pays the premiums and is the beneficiary. It provides a tax-free death benefit to cover expenses and ensure stability. It also provides financial protection and security. You can get key person insurance in whatever type you want, whether it be term, whether it be whole, whether it be universals, whether it be IULs, whether it be variable life insurance. You need to know the different types. And I will briefly say, term life insurance is temporary. So there may be, you have this long-term plan for your nonprofit, but you said, okay, I'm going to only run it for 20 years, or I'm only going to run it for 30 years, or I'm only going to run it for 10 years. The term policy you can purchase for 10, 20, or 30 years. After that, you no longer would have that policy in force. So you have to know what your long-term goals are. You know, you need to see a down the line, because you don't want to think that this is going to be something that is going to go on 50 years and you got a term policy and now you don't get no coverage. So you have to know where you stand in that spectrum. Whole life is, it would cover up to 100 years, 120 years. You could pay it for 100 years. IULs, same thing. Variable life, same thing. So just know what type best suits you, and sitting down with a financial professional will help you get that understanding. All right. There are disruptions that can occur in your operations, and you may have strategic goals, but life happens. You may have the best business plan, but life happens. What key person insurance will do, that if life happens, it doesn't knock you off your feet. It doesn't completely wipe out your nonprofit while you're waiting for grants, while you're waiting for this funds to come and this funds. But what happens when life happens? Okay, so we'll go deeper into that. Um, who qualifies as a key person? It could be the founder. It could be executive director. It could be major donors. It could be top fundraisers, board members that are critical to funding. It could be someone that is very essential to the operation. I make jokes all the time. I don't have a creative bone in my body. But if I have a nonprofit who I have someone that I depend on to come up with all the bright ideas on how funding is going to come from this, come from that, because we have this goal in mind, and I lose that person, what impact is that going to have on the nonprofit as a whole? Key person insurance, again, is a policy that is owned by the nonprofit on the life of a key leader. Um, the nonprofit, again, pays the premium and is the beneficiary. So when you think about that, think about, you have put everything into establishing and running this nonprofit. But are you taking the right steps to make sure that that nonprofit can survive? I don't care if you decide to retire. I don't care if you decide that you just want to leave. You done with the nonprofit, but you want the nonprofit to continue on. Or there could be, you lose someone by a disability or death. When that event occurs, the nonprofit can be significantly affected in just a short period of time. Not because you did something wrong, but because you didn't have a plan. And like any business, whether it be for profit, nonprofit, you have to have a plan if life happens. I say it all the time. There are many businesses, for profits, that get started and believe that they're going to leave the business to their children, their grandchildren. But when something happens to them, a piece of paper said they left the business to their children, but their children wasn't equipped to carry on the business. They was never trained. They don't have the mindset. They don't even want no part of the business. So what happens to the business? It starts to go down because there is not the proper structure for it. If that had been the case and there was a key person policy in place, that policy would be activated. I don't care if it's 100,000, I don't care if it's a million, I don't care if it's 10 million. It would be activated and those funds would go into the nonprofit or the business. To keep the business running. It could be that I need time to find someone that's going to run the nonprofit now because who I thought would jump in would not. So instead of the nonprofit going down, I now have funds in it to keep it running while I look. So I want you to think about, even now in your nonprofit, who is that key person? Who is that person that you know that you need? Who's your backbone to this nonprofit? I know a nonprofit that I know out of everyone that's on the board and maybe just a member, I know who the key person is. I know if something happens to that key person, that nonprofit is going to just fall apart. So money plays a big role, and a key person policy can help you. So again, ask yourself, who do you consider a key player in your nonprofit? Again, it could be the person that you rely on when you're not in the office. It could be the one who works best with your members, because that's a big role. You have to engage well with your members. We lose members very quickly if they feel that they're not getting the attention that they are looking for or desired when they joined. Whether it be the person who can come up with the best fundraising events, whether it could be someone that just finds those creative ways to advance your business. So you may already have in your mind these incentives that you would have for someone that was doing such. But again, if you was to lose them tomorrow, next week, next year, how would the nonprofit continue on? All right. There are tax benefits to key person insurance. And if you're taking notes, please write this down. First of all, the premiums are generally, they're not tax deductible, okay, for the nonprofit. That's number one. The death benefits, again, if it's $1 million coverage, because you say, listen, this key person, their salary, they get paid, because we all know in nonprofits you either have people that are dedicating their time or people that are getting paid for their time. And we also notice sometimes grants can be a little slow coming in, funding can be a little slow coming in. So again, if you utilize a key person policy, not only do you have the benefits of it when something may happen to someone, but you have the cash growth benefit while the nonprofit is still in place, and while that person is still there. So you can actually utilize the cash in it to fund events, to pay someone's salary, things like that. But the death benefit is received by the nonprofit tax free. There is tax-free growth. Your money is growing tax-free. Your money don't even grow tax-free in Chase, Citibank, or Wells Fargo, because they'll be sending the nonprofit, whatever to, depending on the amount that they earn and depending on how it was set up. I'll leave it at that. Cash value growth, again, can accumulate that cash value, and it can be accessed for funding needs. So make a list of what your desires are for your funding year for the rest of 2025. I would not suggest that you would have the cash growth for 2025, but I would say use it as a mindset to say, this is what I want to build. So as the years go on, now, if you start funding the key person policy in 2025, 2026 comes, you are already ahead of the game and you can utilize the cash that has begun to grow. And I hope that makes sense. How nonprofits can leverage the life insurance, the key person policy. It can be for whether it's personal and business financial protection. Okay, succession planning ahead. As I already said, someone may leave, someone may pass away. You want your nonprofit to continue on. You want the legacy to continue on. Being a member of the Black Minority Chamber of Commerce, I get to meet so many people, meet other nonprofits, and I get an understanding on some people that it's tough. Some people have it easy. Some people do it well. But succession planning is for everyone. You need to have a plan in place. Who's going to step in? Because the nonprofit can take a hit if a seat is left unfilled because there was no succession plan. Okay, so think about that. All right. I already told you that there's tax-free death benefits and that you can use the cash tax-free, the cash that's in there for liquidity. Okay. And it will just help you feel stable. It's something about building something and worrying how funding is going to come in. But if you build something and know that that cash is over there growing, whether you want to use it for every day or for emergency expenses, it's still something that can assist you as you go along the way. Protect your financial future for your nonprofit. Okay. Protect your critical board members, critical members who may decide to come into your nonprofit and again be on salary. They may see everything that you have going on and say, I want to be a part of the team. Well, would you have the funds to bring them on? Or would you be worrying about, okay, let me go find a grant, or I'm waiting for this grant to come through? Okay. And it just helps keep the confidence of your members that there's funding there and there's not a lack. So there's no delays. It's something about not having delays that gives people that, like, okay, they know what they're doing. They're structured correctly. Okay. And again, as I said, it can be used as an emergency financial asset. Okay. There's something that I try to educate all the time is in the real world, they tell you to have 3 to 6 months of emergency income in case something happens. I used to say that I stopped talking about that because every time I spoke about it, something would break down, whether it be in the business or in the house or whatever. And I'm like, here I am teaching on it, and here, as soon as I speak it, something happens. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Just think of being able to go to a networking event and you run into someone that gives you this great opportunity to take your nonprofit to another level that it has never seen before. But it requires some funding and you don't have it. You're lacking on the cash side and you haven't built anything on the side, so that if that was to arise, you would be able to take full advantage of it. Okay. So think about charitable giving. I know that's something that nonprofits may think. Your nonprofit might be big on cancer research. So you would want to give to a charity. I won't be specifically saying any names, but there might be a charity that you want to give funds to. maybe on a yearly basis. Some may give on a monthly basis, whatever the case may be. Where are you getting funds from? Did you build accordingly so that you could have easily be able to access it? All right. People can donate an existing policy to a nonprofit. Don't know if you was aware of it, but it is a thing. You can use the policies dividends, like I said, to fund the programs. You might want to get this children's program off the ground. Well, easily be able to go. They're not asking you what you need the money for. They're just asking you how much do you want of your money that you have built. Okay. And it does provide a legacy of giving without impacting your cash flow, because I don't want you to get confused like this is the cash that is sitting in Wells Fargo. No, we're talking about separate. So this thing is building over here in this key person policy, and you're able to utilize it again tax free for whatever or grow it tax free for whatever your needs are. As we think about key person policies, I want you to think about real life scenarios. When we talk about, and I want to back up a little bit, when we were talking about cash value, I need us to get into the mindset of a savings account vehicle. I don't want us to automatically say, okay, well, I have cash over here, so my nonprofit can just suck it up. I want it to be that we're thinking ahead. We're thinking 10 years down the line. We're thinking 20 years down the line. We're thinking that I do want my child to keep this nonprofit going. I do want my children to sit on the board. Thinking ahead like that, so that the funding is not complicated, or it's not choking somebody because they don't have any. So think about, again, all the expenses that goes into a nonprofit. It amazes me. We may not be a for-profit, but we still got to pay for business cards. We still need to pay for flyers. We still pay for the banners to go to the events that we're going to sit and try to get members for. We still need to pay for tables at events. We still need to pay for the traveling, because we want to go to this conference. We want to go to the national conference. We want to go to this one, that one. It costs money. It costs money. Yes, nonprofits get the advantage of not having to pay taxes. Yes, I understand that. But it takes money. And you want to be in a place that you don't feel that you are not benefited. Again, I will remind you, in a key person policy, if you get it for the nonprofit is the beneficiary. Let me break that down some more. If you say have $1 million key person policy, and it's on a person that maybe you paying $100,000 a year. So you know that if something happens to that person, that $1 million is going into your nonprofit. It's into the bank account, right? That's going to cover you for at least 10 years of salary for that person, which you can utilize to find someone to take their position, or you can just use it to just keep the nonprofit going until you decide maybe to go a different route in what the position held, whatever the case may be. So it's 10 years. Imagine if you didn't have the $1 million. Imagine if you didn't have the $100,000. How would your nonprofit survive if something happened to that person? But when something happens to that person, that $1 million goes into the nonprofit bank account tax free. Now there's cash growth. If you get a cash value policy, it is not cash value on a term. Let's be sure of that. But if it's a cash value, that $1 million can turn into $2 million. It could turn into $3 million because it's growing. It's whether it's growing fixed whether it's growing variable, whether it's growing compound interest. I said it in the beginning. And I'm going to show you a slide in a minute where it shows you how fixed products grow, how compound interest grows, how variable grows. You have to know. Albert Einstein has a quote that says, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, but he who doesn't pays it. Who's paying us? Even on the personal side, be it mortgage, student loans, car payments, they make money off of us. Think about a mortgage payment. You may have purchased that home for $299, but guess what? By the time they add the compound interest on it, you're probably paying 600 grand. They make money off of us. So why not have your money make money? And that's what it does. Now, fixed products, if a fixed product has 3% interest rate, you don't have to worry. You always going to earn 3%. It's not going to be up. It ain't going to be down. It's fixed. And that is how your money is to grow. You need to know how you want your money to grow. You need to know how you want the nonprofits' money to grow. You may not be earning it for profit, but you are earning it for the nonprofit to continue on. And that is very, very important. You need to be able to have capital. You need to be able to have capital for hiring and for training new leadership. Leadership needs training. Leadership needs, just because they may have experience in this area, that area, your nonprofit may be different than any other nonprofit they've been involved in, because everybody runs their ship differently. But you might need to pay for the training for them, because they're not, I'm telling you, they're not looking to come in and pay for it. If they have a membership, they're like, my membership should cover this. So I may have to need funds to pay someone to come in and train my leadership. I need to know that if I need to, that transitional period, that I have something that will cover my operational expenses. Okay. So using the key person policy as a financial asset is a great thing to do. Some policies, again, I'll say some, not term, will build that cash value that you can borrow against for future projects. I've been saying taking money, right? There's two ways to take your cash from a key person policy. There's three. We already know one is on the death side if you lose somebody, but as an everyday expense, as that cash is growing, they're going to ask you one question: how do you want it? It's going to be by withdrawal or by loan. This is Lady G. I ain't telling nobody what to do. But when I sit down with people to individually build this thing for them and to go over questions and show them how to do it, I let them know, if you take a withdrawal for your nonprofit, I don't care if there's $100,000 in that account. If you have this big project that you're working on and you need $50,000, if you take a withdrawal, that $50,000 is coming out of the $100,000 because it's a withdrawal. So you have, your nonprofit has $50,000 left. Would you have wanted your interest to grow on 50,000 or 100,000? Oh, well, I wanted it on the 100,000, but I still needed the 50,000. Who said you couldn't have it? You could take the 50,000 as a loan against your own money, against the nonprofit's own money. It would come from the death benefit, while your cash for the nonprofit sits there and continues to grow. I'm me. I'm always gonna be me. I'm gonna say compound interest wins over fixed for me any day, because I like money. So I want to see it grow to its highest potential. Only compound interest can do that. If you do not know, write this down. The difference between fixed interest and compound interest. Fixed interest is you only earn interest on the principal alone. So if there's $100,000 there and it's in one of these local banks and you're making less than 1% interest on it, whatever interest you earned, I don't care if it was $100 or $1,000. The next time you go to earn interest, it will only be on the 100,000. They do not take in account that $100 or $1,000 that you earned in interest prior. It's only on the principal or what you deposited. Compound interest is you are earning interest on the principal and all past interest. So if I have 100,000 and I made 1,000 in interest, I now have $101,000. I'm going next time I get interest, it'll be on 101,000. Make another 2,000 in interest, have 103,000. Next time I get interest, it's on 103,000. That's how I want my money to grow. I ain't telling nobody how to have their money grow, but that's how I would want my money grow because I need funding. Okay. So that would be a key aspect. So case study number 1. Life insurance supporting a nonprofit. Okay. As I already said, a nonprofit can, a leader, that key person, can use, say, a IUL, which is a type. It's a type of key person policy. You can choose whatever type you want, whatever type is best for your nonprofit. Again, it will build the cash value to fund. It can fund the person's retirement tax-free. They can have retirement checks coming from that key person policy. Or even on the personal side, they can have it coming from that policy. So again, upon passing, the death benefit will fund the endowment. And it will ensure that the nonprofit's sustainability is for years, not that it goes down within days or months because there was nothing in place. You also, as we're winding down, think about if a nonprofit CEO unexpectedly passes away. Okay, that organization will lose key leadership and fund momentum. And that key person insurance provided immediate cash to stabilize the operations. It allowed time for a smooth transition to a new leader. The next one is, what if you just want to use the policy for loan collateral? Again, if you want to expand, you lack immediate funds, you can use that key person policy as collateral for a loan and successfully fund the growth while maintaining your financial security. As far as how much you can put, it is according to your nonprofit's budget. Anything is different, whether it ranges the type of policy, the amount you're going to put in. There can be growth somewhere down the line. When you think about how can you get a key person policy, I'm telling you, it's going to be based on your age of the key person and the health of the key person. And whatever the coverage amount is will tell how much you should be funding for that nonprofit. Again, this is how your money would grow. If it's fixed, it's going to grow very slowly. If it's variable, it means it's tied to the stock market. And if it's indexed, it means it is protected from the market so that it can grow. It would never take any losses. Anything variable tied to the stock market, if you've been watching the stock market, it's up and down, losses, gains, losses, gains. But index can only go up. It cannot have any losses. Okay. So as we wind down, I hope that you will reach out because, as I said, every nonprofit is different. Every person is different. Everyone wants to build things differently. If you reach out, we can go over. It's a free consultation. We can go over what your needs are, what will be best suited for you. And I'm going to put in the chat a link. Please utilize it. And I hope you will so that you can know if a key person policy is for you. I just placed it in the chat. Please grab it, fill it out, and we can always again set up a one-on-one to talk about your nonprofit. I hope I was able to give you more information than you had before you came into the room. We are going to be directed out in the next 45 seconds, but I look forward to speaking individually with you one-on-one. All right. And send me any questions if you have any in the chat. And I do see one question that I can answer quickly. Is there a difference from board of directors insurance? Do you need both? I would say I want to know how you're set up. But yes, different needs. So let's talk about it.